It's that Southwest Atlanta Cascade riding down your block instead.
What is good, YouTube? I am back. It's a lot of stuff that has transpired since I've last got to you last month. But I didn't want to make a video and talk about, things that I've already spoke on. Cough, cough, LeBron. Cough, cough, Johnny Manziel. So I was thinking of little different topics to talk about this time, and I guess I can start off with speaking on David Ortiz. David Ortiz and the Tampa Bay Rays, they have like this little beef going on, this little, baseball rivalry, which I think is good for the sport because other than the trade deadline, it's kind of like, it's a slow time. It's slow news period for baseball. So I think this little rivalry and this little beef between Tampa Bay pitchers and David Ortiz is great. If you didn't know about the beef, if you haven't been watching Sports Center or whatever in the middle of the day, the beef started with David Price when he was asked about David Ortiz, I suppose. David Price said David Ortiz thinks he's bigger than the game of baseball, and he's not. Like, he's too flashy, he's too, Big Papi. And so then Ortiz responded, the way Ortiz usually responds when being interviewed, with a bunch of explicitives and whatnot. But anyways, so that game, the next game, Price nailed Ortiz in the hip, and things got chippy, benches cleared out. And then the next game or the next series or whatever later on in the season, just I think this week, in Tampa Bay, another pitcher was going against Ortiz, and Ortiz hit a home run in like the third inning. And when he hit it, he flipped the bat, stopped, and looked to the dugout, and it was just a big show. So after that, the reporters after the game asked the young pitcher, they were like, "Do you agree with David Price's comments that David Ortiz thinks he's bigger than the game, especially seeing what you saw tonight?" And he said, "You know what? I think David Ortiz he just, proved that right now. Off the field, he seems like a great guy, but on the field, he can be a pretty big-headed diva to the game." And so the young guy, he was, after he struck out the side, or struck out another, finished the inning off, he did the Kaepernick, flex and kissing, his arm and whatnot. So, I mean, it's a little rivalry, chippy thing going on. And that's what the AL East needs. That's what baseball needs right now. That's what we need. We need the little storylines to get the common, usual baseball fan engaged all 162 games for every team until the postseason. Because I know for me, other than the beginning of the season, the opening days, maybe the Midsummer Classic, of course, and trade deadline, I'm a little engaged, and then the pennant race at the end, and then the postseason, of course. But those are the only times I'm really engaged as a fan of baseball, not as a journalist or whatnot covering the sport. So I think this is a great thing for baseball. And second, I want to talk about Joel Embiid, because that man is like the base god of the NBA. He's like amazing, and the things he's doing on Twitter and social media is game changing. He's really changing the game. Like, Joel Embiid, I think, represents what every single common average Joe would be if he made it in the league and was drafted as a 20-year-old. He's tweeting Kim Kardashian, "Hey, yo, slide in my DMs, boo." He's tweeting Rihanna, "Hey, let's go out." He's tweeting, "These girls ain't loyal after they reject him." And then he made a little picture of the Bachelorette cover, talking about she's gonna go out with Joel Embiid. He had a little 2K cover as his app. Joel Embiid is just a great guy, and I predicted Joel Embiid to be a bust during the draft, before the draft, because he's another 7-footer that hasn't had that much experience with basketball. From what I've heard, he just started playing as a teenager, and he's only been in Kansas for a year, and he had a really good year at Kansas. His stock rose up, it skyrocketed, but he got injured right before the tournament, and that's another thing, is another 7-footer that doesn't have that much experience but had a good season in college and is injury prone. So, I mean, when I look back at the past few guys that fit that description in the draft, they become bust. So, but he's a great, I mean, he's my favorite player now. So, Joel Embiid, I'm glad what you're doing on social media or whatever. I hope you prove me wrong that I called you a bust on the court, but off the court, you're definitely my favorite player now. And also, the last thing I want to talk about is Childish Gambino. You know, at the one of his freestyles at his shows in Sydney, Australia, he called out the rap game. He's like, I'm the best, definitely top 5. Kendrick, Schoolboy, Drake, I don't care, I'm coming for all y'all, with a bunch of other things that he said. But I just want to get your thoughts on that. Who do you think is the top 5 rappers in hip hop right now? I'm gonna wait till the screen freezes up. Like, it starts freezing up so you can see. There you go. You see the 5 right there? Who do you think are the top 5 rappers in the game right now? For me, I would probably have to say Kendrick, J. Cole, Gambino, Drake, and my number 5, I'll probably have to say Schoolboy Q. And I'll have Absol and those guys in my second 5. Or I had Absol in my top 5, but I feel like I enjoy listening to Schoolboy's Q music more than I do Absol's music. But Absol definitely a dope rapper, crazy with the wordplay and stuff. So, I mean, there's a lot of different ways you can go with the top 5 rappers. You can go mainstream, you can go, it's so many different genres and so many rappers out there and so many different ways you can go of judging the top 5. So I want to know, what's your top 5? And in the comment section below. And yeah. Thank you for tuning in. Until next time, I'm out.
Ooh, I got a new one for you. I like the way that sounds. I'm about to do it for you. I like to break it down. This joint has got